Welcome to the Big Blue Radio Show, coming to you on Tulsa Community College's online radio station, The Grid, and on the Creativity Channel. I'm Lee Goodson, president of Tulsa Community College.
And I'm Greg Stone, provost of TCC's Metro Campus in downtown Tulsa. Sustainability is becoming more important as energy costs have risen and budgets across the state have been cut. But more than just saving money, sustainability helps preserve our community and valuable natural resources, not just for us today, but for the future.
Dr. Mike Limas is here to share an update on how TCC is becoming a more sustainable campus today on the Big Blue Radio Show. Dr. Limas, we're really glad to have you here today. And you do so much with Tree Campus USA and the sustainability efforts that we have here at Tulsa Community College. Can you tell us a little bit about what your official role is at TCC, and then about how Northeast Campus is really a hub of sustainability activity, and how those two come together?
Yes, I've been with the college for 31 years, and I've been in the same job for most of that time, but it's evolved. It started out as evening programs, in which I was more involved in the academic program and assisting faculty. I had different hours. I worked a 1 to 10 shift. Then from there it went to evening operations, where it became a combination academic and operations. And then 2006 I became academic campus services, which again straddling both academics and operations. And I've been able to really, I think, in a certain sense, fulfill the full potential of the job, because that does involve my work with adjunct faculty, full-time faculty, and I have a foot in the operations of the college as well, in terms of what I'm doing specifically for sustainability and Tree Campus.
Talk to us a little bit about what the Tree Campus USA program is, and sponsored by the National Arbor Day Foundation, right? And how did Northeast Campus recently earn that designation?
Yes. The National Arbor Day Foundation has 3 programs, Tree City, Tree Line, and most recently Tree Campus. Tree City and Tree Line are much older than Tree Campus. Tree Campus came into being in 2008, and this year there are about 230 plus colleges and universities across the country that are designated as Tree Campus USA campuses, including 5 in Oklahoma. We're one of the 5. And we became involved as a result of our community contacts with organizations that promote trees and tree care.
And what work is involved in maintaining the campus and the trees on campus, and what physical work actually is involved in maintaining that?
Could I back up and maybe just talk about the standards we have to meet in order to be a Tree Campus USA campus?
Please.
There are 5 standards. One is to have a campus advisory committee that is composed of faculty, students, facilities people. Of course, facilities people drive the whole operation, and community members who are arborists or other individuals with tree expertise. And this group works together then to identify a tree care plan that takes advantage of all the latest techniques and methods in maintaining a campus tree forest. And we've done that. We're fortunate in having a number of people from our city who are involved in this, including Steve Grantham, the executive director of Up with Trees, Mike Perkins, who's a city arborist, and Ron Walker, who's a board member for Up with Trees, a longtime tree advocate in our community, plus our faculty, and our facilities people, including our facilities manager and our landscape supervisor. So that's one standard. We have to have that committee in place. The second is developing this tree care plan that we follow as a campus, and our landscape people are caretakers of, and that includes some real extensive, detailed information about how to care for trees. Third, we have a dedicated tree campus budget that includes landscaper salaries and tree maintenance costs. Fourth, we have an Arbor Day celebration, which we did this year at EcoFest, and we planted an English oak on campus near the entrance of the Engineering Technology Building. And then finally, a service learning project, which we have identified as EcoFest. This year on March 26th, we had we had exactly 85 students who contributed 905 hours of volunteer time toward EcoFest. So it's really become kind of a student-run operation.
That's a huge operation.
Yeah.
And so that's how our students really get involved is through EcoFest.
Yes. Yeah, that's their one of the outlets that they have. So
Excellent.
yeah. In terms of the care that goes into the trees, as I mentioned, the tree care plan does involve explicit directions on pruning, on treating diseased trees, on removal of trees, and also it includes native species that we'd like to have as part of our tree inventory. It includes some other types of maybe non-native trees that do well in Oklahoma. There's also prescriptions for how we work with contractors who are coming on campus to do building or other types of maintenance to make sure that trees don't get damaged in that process. And then there's a tree inventory that the college has started last spring. We contracted with a firm that sent out a professional arborist to do begin the tree inventory for the whole college. Right now there are 1,000 trees
For
that are
all campuses.
all campuses. Right now there are about 1,000 trees that are part of that inventory. Most of them are at Northeast. And the inventory items include things like the height of the tree, the width of the trunk, the general condition of the tree, species, common name, location. So all that then contributes then to a commitment that the college has to maintain the tree inventory for the college.
The word sustainability means different things to different people. And I've heard you say before that one of the number one rules in sustainability efforts is resilience.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Can you talk a little bit about the definition of sustainability as you see it and as your colleagues see it that participate with you at Northeast and throughout the college? And then talk about the resilience that you have to have and what that means in terms of perpetuating the movement.
Yes. The idea of sustainability is one from biology, of course, and that is, living. It's a systems concept, and living within the system so that it can perpetuate itself. And when there are disruptions to the system, then in order to maintain the system, you have to have this resilience. You must be able to adapt as you go along. And we see that in ecosystems across the world. We see that in maybe even our own personal lives. That's necessary. And sustainability is a concept that incorporates within it this idea of resilience. To the college, we are unique institutions, higher education institutions, including TCC, in that we have the capability of influencing attitudes of generations of students and also turning out graduates who have a different understanding of humans' relationships to nature. When you talk about sustainability, sometimes people get into the idea of
I think of leave no trace.
I'm sorry?
I think of leave no trace.
Yeah, it's the values of the Boy Scouts.
Right, leave no
Yeah,
trace.
and maybe even better than what you found it.
Leave it better than what you found it.
Yeah,
Right.
really. It's really the values of our grandparents in a certain sense. So we're really trying to recapture some of that in a certain part of this idea of sustainability. And when people talk about sustainability, sometimes it becomes a political issue. And we're very sensitive to it in this part of the country because we are an economy built on oil and gas. It's just the reality. Right. So we talk about anthropogenic climate change becomes very heated and very contentious. So I think a gentle starting point for an institution like ours is to look at operational efficiency. And I think we've done that as an institution. The facility side has done a great job in the last several years helping us become a much more sustainable energy-wise institution by, and following the mandate, state mandate of reducing our energy use 20% by 2020. So they've done a fantastic job in equipping us to and laying that foundation for a sustainability initiative here. I would argue that we need to build on that. One way we could do that in terms of achieving more operational efficiency is to get involved in organizations like Sustainable Tulsa. Northeast Campus is part of a pilot group that started last September in what's called a Sustainable Scorecard program. That is, we are measuring ourselves on how sustainable an operation we are.
On Northeast Campus?
Just Northeast for right now, but it could spread. It could go farther. So we've joined other higher education institutions, including University of Tulsa, ORU, OSU Tulsa, and well, of course us, and then other larger organizations in our city, including AAP-PSO, the City of Tulsa, the Creek Nation, and other smaller entities. There's some coffee houses and some breweries involved in this as well. So what we're doing, we're measuring ourselves on 13 what they call cornerstone items that involve sustainable vision, resource management, benchmarking, and quality of life. And we have submitted our 13 cornerstone items for evaluation by the Sustainable Tulsa Group, and we'll get some feedback on that very soon. I think it's going to be a really good report for us. And so they go at it from a standpoint of making the business case for sustainability. I think that's something that I think we could easily embrace here in this city and within our institution as well.
And it's hard for people to understand how that business case can be made.
Yeah.
People think sustainability is much more expensive.
Yes.
And is that a myth?
Well, there could be some costs up front. I mean, if you decide to become a renewable energy operation, there's an investment you have to make as an institution up front. Say, for example, you wanted to put solar panels on one of our smaller buildings and use a heat pump in order to cool and heat a building. There'll be some initial costs up front, but the savings would be over the long term because you're reducing your gas and your electric costs.
So it's about a commitment.
It's about a commitment. It's about a commitment. But there are a lot of things that people can do to contribute in small ways to the idea of becoming a more sustainable operation. For students, for example, they can try to not purchase disposable products like plastic cutlery and stay away from styrofoam. Sometimes the problem with sustainable advocates is that they become too preachy, and I like to stay away from that. But sometimes you can't help it. You must, I'll tell people how they can contribute to this.
Right, and there's little things that you can do that
Sure.
make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, even on, throughout our campuses now, some of our water fountains
Yes.
have refillable stations to
Yeah.
refill water bottles. So
Right.
rather than going to buy another bottle of water, there's cold filtered water
Yes.
that's just right there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
simple
Yeah.
steps, like you
Yeah,
said.
so
that
that's
can
another
contribute to that
great
effort.
thing that not just students but employees could do as well, is to get that aluminum water holder, bring it on campus, fill it up at a conveniently placed
Absolutely.
refill station, and off you go. So that's a wonderful thing. And other small things, like for example, in my office, I have 9 waste baskets that are arrayed around the office suite. And
Are you a master recycler?
I'm not a master recycler.
Okay.
So what I do is I empty all the contents of 8 of the baskets into one, and so the cleaning staff, ABM staff, just simply walks away with one of the
see.
green bags every day, rather than 7 or 8 or 9 of them. So
With only 1 or 2 things in each one.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we that small things really do matter. Really do count.
That is, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
make a big difference.
Yeah.
I have some friends, they're master recyclers, and they have the large recycle bin, and they have the small waste container, and it's only half full every
Right.
time,
Yeah.
on Thursday when we had that
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, it's somewhat of an art form. I don't know how some people do it. I have some friends who, and I feel a little bit guilty about it. They tell me that when they put out their sometimes they don't put their 96-gallon waste container out on the curb line because there's just simply no garbage that week. And I wonder, how do you do that? How do you share it? So it's a tricky, it's an art form in a certain respect.
Well, Mike, we just have a minute or so left, so we want to ask you the big question that we ask all of our guests on the show, which is if you could go back in time and give 18-year-old Mike Limas some advice before you started off in college and in life, what would that advice be?
You know, I've been an advisor, a student organization advisor for 19 years in various organizations, the last 10 with Phi Theta Kappa. And I always encourage students to, take advantage fully of what opportunities are available at the college. And I realized after saying this a few times that as a young person, I didn't do that myself. I was too busy working and grinding away with studying to get involved in student organizations and student life, and I wish I had gone and gotten involved. So that's the advice I would give myself, my 18-year-old self, would be to get involved in campus life. So
exactly. Some great opportunities for
Balance.
engagement.
Yeah,
It is
some
balance.
balance.
That's true. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but we do want to thank our guest, Dr. Mike Limas, for joining us on the show.
And thank you for being here too. Remember, you can find us every week online at the Grid, tulsacc.edu/thegrid, and on the Creativity channel. We'll see you next time.